I mean, honestly, like there's a friend of mine who's got a great saying about creating a company, which is trying to build a company and have it succeed is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. So, I mean, what tends to happen is it's sort of quite exciting for the first several months of starting a company, and then reality sets in. Things don't go as well as planned. Customers aren't signing up. The technology or the product isn't working as well as you thought, and then that can sometimes be compounded by a recession, and it can be very, very painful for several years. So I think, frankly, starting a company, I would advise people to have a high pain tolerance. I mean, as long as people stay super focused on creating the absolute best product or service that really delights their end customer, like if they stay focused on that, then if you get it such that your customers want you to succeed, then you probably will.
Right. You have to focus on the customer and delivering for them.
Yeah. Make sure if your customers love you, your odds of success are dramatically higher.
All the entrepreneurs.
I think, well, people do not think critically enough. I mean, critical thinking is a skill in short supply, where people take too many things as, they assume too many things to be true without sufficient basis in that belief. So it's very important that people closely analyze what is supposed to be true and try to build up. Try to say, let's analyze things from first principles, not by analogy or not by convention. If you assume things are true by convention, which is actually what most people do, then it's difficult to gain insight into how things can be bettered. So, in any argument or any sort of train of thinking, you want to make sure that the underlying premises are valid and applicable, and then in reaching a conclusion, that the conclusion you're reaching is necessarily driven by the underlying premises and the interconnection between those premises. That may seem like a really simple thing to say, but most people don't do that. So it's really the foundation of rational thought. And really liking what you do, whatever area that you get into. Given that, even if you're the best, there's always a chance of failure. So I think it's important that you really like whatever you're doing. If you don't like it, life is too short. I'd say, also if you like what you're doing, you think about it even when you're not working. I mean, it's something that your mind is drawn to, and if you don't like it, you just really can't make it work, I think.
But do you still have that kind of freshness when you use the car yourself? Or you have been used to that and lost the excitement?
In my case, it's a little tricky because I'm always looking for what's wrong. In order to make the car better, I always have to be thinking, I have to think very critically. And so when I see the car, I see all the things that I think need to be fixed to make it better. And so it's certainly, it's easy to lose the sense of wonder or just see the flaws. But it's a difficult thing to reconcile, because if you want to make something better, then you must analyze it for the flaws.
Yes.
And but then that kind of prevents the enjoyment of it. It's a difficult dichotomy. In terms of our competitiveness, I think it mostly comes down to our pace of innovation. Our pace of innovation is much, much faster than the big aerospace companies or the sort of country-driven systems. And this is generally true. If you look at innovation from large companies or from smaller companies are generally better at innovating than larger companies. And it has to be that way from a Darwinian standpoint, because smaller companies would just die if they didn't try innovating. Because otherwise people just keep buying the product from the big company. So then why is SpaceX more innovative? I think it's probably because we've got like a super engineering-driven culture. I mean, we're running kind of the Silicon Valley operating system, but you know, you have a fairly flat hierarchy. You promote rapid communication. Sort of a best ideas wins culture, as opposed to this, you know, having the seniority of the person decide the solution. Which, I mean, that should never be the case in engineering. It should always be, you know, a rational basis. Something new, there's going to be mistakes, and it's important to recognize those mistakes, acknowledge them, and take corrective action. And the success of a company is very much more about how quick are you to fix the mistakes, not will you make mistakes.
Or admit the mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you see the difference between a startup that is successful and one that is not, and it's because the successful one, they both made mistakes, but the successful one recognized the mistakes, fixed them very quickly, and the unsuccessful one tries to deny that the mistakes exist.
So you are very famous in saying that failure is actually an option, and if you're not failing, that means you're not innovative enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I like failure. I mean, who likes failure is terrible. But if you only do things that are certain to succeed, then you're only going to be doing very